The cyber security expert for the Obama administration was told to stand down in August of 2016 by one of the members of Team Obama. I believe that this was dereliction of duty at the very least, possibly treasonous, and that one member of Team Obama happens to be Susan Rice. So I think the Senate Intel Committee needs to haul her before them now.
Yeah, allegedly Susan Rice told this top official to stand down in the face of these Russian attacks on our system through inappropriate advertisements and fake accounts and such. And the pushback they proposed was to go after the Russians directly or indirectly, people close to them and countries close to them, to show that we know where they live more or less and we know what to do when pushed around like this. And Susan Rice's alleged response was, don't get ahead of us on this, don't do anything. Right. And they did do a little bit something in response, but obviously not as strong as was recommended by the defense officials involved here. Well,
apparently from the testimony, we now know that the Russians were targeting U.S. companies. They were also targeting the individual political campaigns. Again, dereliction of duty. It's almost as if the Obama administration was condoning this activity. It's unbelievable. Now that brings us back to the IG report and this notion from Mr. Horowitz that there's some sort of firewall between someone who has political bias and the investigative results of the Hillary email probe. This is insulting to our intelligence. And now you at Judicial Watch are connecting a few more dots. I understand that you have evidence that the decision was made to exonerate Hillary Clinton as far back as April of 2016?
Yeah, the IG report suggests it was even earlier than that, but we just received emails from the State Department, the Justice Department and FBI, an email from Peter Strzok, who was discussing the tarmac meeting and the consequences of that, and the idea that Loretta Lynch would somehow recuse herself without really recusing herself. And the comment Strzok made was, well, you know, we already decided not to do anything in April of 2016, or back in April at the time.
Wow.
This email had been held from us by the FBI for nearly 2 years. They told us they had no documents. Then we found out they did, so we caught them in a cover-up. Then they found some documents, and then it turned out they have even another set of documents, and so this is the second cover-up we caught them in. This one related to Peter Strzok, who admitted in this email that the decision not to prosecute Hillary Clinton was made as early as April 2016. And as I noted, the IG report suggests it was even earlier than that.
And so it's very clear that Comey allowed people like Strzok, and I say people like because we don't know how many Strzok's there are still within the FBI. We don't know the scope of this malfeasance that's going on, unfortunately, in the Bureau of Investigations. So Comey allows Strzok to run amok, essentially, whether it was the Hillary probe or later with Mueller. And that brings me to Robert Mueller. We now have Rosenstein. So this was under the Obama administration. Now under the Trump administration, we have Rod Rosenstein doing the same thing with Robert Mueller, allowing Robert Mueller to essentially run amok. Would you agree with me when I characterize the Department of Justice / the FBI right now seems to be dysfunctional?
Well, certainly with respect to this investigation of the Trump world and Russia collusion, it's really an out-of-control investigation. It's not subject to constitutional oversight, I think, as required by the rule of law. But the regulations themselves say that Rosenstein can't supervise Mueller from on a day-to-day basis. So Mueller really answers to no one, practically speaking. And now we know that investigation's been infected by anti-Trump bias. Strzok wasn't the only anti-Trumper on Mueller's team. And the fact that he was on Mueller's team and had to be removed because of bias was withheld from the American people for 4 or 5 months last year. Turns out there may be others on the team who are similarly biased in the sense of sending out texts. And then, of course, Mr. Mueller himself has hired nothing but registered Democrats to be on his prosecutorial team. There are a few people that we don't know. We don't know what their affiliation are, but we did an analysis on this, and we found that there were no registered Republicans on Mueller's team. Bunch of registered Democrats, I think 13.
Yeah.
I think one had given money of the ones we analyzed to some Republicans. Everyone else had given money to Democrats.